Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Movie Chatter. I don't even know where to go with this one. We are going to be reviewing one of the biggest releases of the spring, Godzilla vs. Kong. We talked a little bit about it on Random Chatter. Of course, Robin wasn't there for that, and we're going to give a full-out review of it on today's episode. And
Stop.
no,
It's not that bad.
So, remember the stuff I said about The Greatest Showman? I'm going to fix this logo here because we're not recording Random Chatter. We're recording Movie Chatter. I liked The Greatest Showman better. Yeah.
Really?
So if you want to discuss that instead, Robin, tonight would be one of those very few occasions where I would be amenable to that.
God. I had such a great day, and now this is like the cherry on the top of the sprinkle.
You're welcome. Or rather, you can thank whatever Michael Bay wannabe made this movie, because I think they deserve.
Adam Wingard.
Who?
Adam Wingard.
Okay.
So it's kind of, as you guys were ranting, I pulled up Google search of Godzilla versus King Kong, and in the top stories that come up is one from The Ringer. It says Godzilla versus Kong might just resurrect the movie industry. And right next to it is one from Cinema Blend that says why I want Godzilla versus Kong to be the last we see of Godzilla or King Kong.
This movie, really, people really love it or really can't stand it.
But it's 75% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, maybe if they got the other 25%
really?
on Rotten Tomatoes, then people could review the whole thing and tell us how much it sucks.
I don't
know. That's the hardest I'm willing to even work for a joke on this one. Like, I don't even, it's, okay, let's just go. Well, let's start this out in the traditional way. We'll go around the table. Lou, what did you think of this movie? This, by the way, theaters, HBO Max, just came out. What, about a week ago, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
What'd you think, Lou?
So, and I talked about this in Random Chat a little bit the other night, that I hadn't seen any of the previous movies leading up to this, and started watching it, and I got like maybe a half hour in, and I'm realizing they're talking about characters and stuff. I'm like, well, I should probably watch the other ones just so I know everything that's going on. So I did. I wasted a lot of time watching King Kong, Skull Island, Godzilla, and Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then this one. So I did my homework leading up to this. And I won't say that's something I'll never, ever get back, but, it could have been better. I mean, I think that overall, going into this expecting to see monsters fighting, you're good. If you want to see something more than that, then you're probably not so good.
I didn't even like the monsters fighting.
In the early ones, I thought it was great. In the last one, this one we're actually doing tonight, I thought the special effects weren't as good as prior.
Really?
Some of the scenes of Kong kind of running around in the new area they were in, I don't know if we're doing spoilers yet, didn't look all that great. I'm like, that doesn't really look realistic.
Because it was. But anyway,
I
so
thought the
here's the
effects
thing.
were okay.
I feel like after watching this, I have never seen any of those other movies. Like Lou did his homework. He gets a gold star. I'm going to put one in the mail to him.
I saw them before he did. Where's my... Never mind. Trust me, by the end of this, you're not going to want to give me a gold star. Go on.
But after watching this one, I feel like I missed something by not watching Skull Island. Am I wrong about that, Lou?
Skull Island.
Skull Island had the least to do with this movie than the other ones did, but it was still a good movie. I mean, Sam Jackson.
Here's the background for people who don't know. Okay, you've got of the modern films, you've got King Kong by Peter Jackson, which most people I talked to thought it was pretty good. Some people didn't like it that much. I liked it a lot. You had the second Kong movie.
Yeah, and I don't think that really plays with this.
No, it
I don't
doesn't.
think that
It
plays
doesn't.
with
I'm getting to that.
Because that to me is like the earlier Godzilla movies, the ones that were just before this.
This
like,
is still
wasn't there the Matthew Broderick
yeah,
one?
but this still kind of is supposed to. This happens in the same canon. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
In theory. So, yeah. So there's the Peter Jackson King Kong, which story-wise has nothing to do with any of this, other than the fact that his island is kind of there, and he's in there, and blah blah blah. Think of it as like a prologue or a prequel or something. Then you've got the second Kong movie, which is Skull Island, which there are some things like with the creatures and stuff that kind of harken back to it, but so little that it's insignificant. Like there's no reason to see Skull Island in regards to preparing yourself for Godzilla versus Kong. Okay. Now, the flip side, in parallel to that, you have the first of the recent Godzilla movies, which I thought was pretty good. I was actually pleasantly surprised with that one. Wasn't expecting to like it, but I kind of did. And then you've got Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I didn't really care for. That one is probably the most direct tie-in to this movie and is the most relevant. It also has the most amount of characters carrying over into this as well. Now the general consensus, most people seem to like the first Kong movie and not the second. Most people seem to like the first Godzilla movie and not the second. And then again, Godzilla versus Kong, people are split right down the middle. It's a love it or hate it sort of thing. Yeah, if you want to go back and like watch the background for things, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is the second one, is the most relevant, but then the first Godzilla is going to help you understand that better. So stick with the Godzilla stuff. Don't worry about the King Kong stuff that much, which I say ironically because I think King Kong is the better character. If you look at the body count between the two over the entire series and you count how many people either directly or through immediate collateral damage King Kong has killed versus the millions that Godzilla has killed, makes it really kind of hard to root for Godzilla. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, Godzilla made, the DC area look like a wasteland.
I've lived there most of my life. It pretty much is. It
wasn't him, but yeah, it's true. But I mean, it was like nothing. It was like just decimated.
Yeah.
But
and Kong really hasn't killed anybody except people who are stupid enough to come to his island. Which, can you blame him? So, if I had to choose sides, Team Kong, but a lot of that is also just because the character was more relatable, and the other guy was a big monster in a rubber suit, except they had a lot better special effects this time around. Like, there's nothing. Godzilla has no story, no personality, no nothing.
Facial expressions. He had a heart. It was easier to humanize him than Godzilla.
Yeah. Like he could actually communicate. I mean, I guess we're going to talk spoilers, right? So here's your spoiler warning. I mean, he knows sign language. He's an actual character. Godzilla is not. Yeah.
That's Godzilla.
I watched this movie the first time around, and I mentioned this on Random Chatter. I said to Lou, I said, you said you got partway through it and didn't see the rest. And I said, I realized as I'm watching the credits to this movie that I'm in the same boat. I saw about half of it and I didn't see the rest. Like, this is one of the first times where I just mentally blanked out. I sat there in the credits. I'm like, wait a minute. I can't describe a single event that just happened in the second half of this movie. And I looked around and I'm like, oh, well, here's my phone. Here's my laptop, my iPad, a couple of books here. Yeah, I don't think I was actually watching any of the movie once they hit that Hollow Earth thing. So I had to go back and rewatch it today, just from that Hollow Earth point on. Like the point where I remember everything that happened up to a point, and then that's where my brain just completely shut off. I said, I'm going to start there. 10 minutes. I looked up from my laptop and said, wait, I got to stop that. Like, I can't get into this movie. It gets, so It's one thing Tim talked about. It's kind of like wrestling, except then I pointed out it's a lot slower because When you're huge, you have to move slow, I guess. And wasn't that interesting? Like, we didn't need 45 seconds of Godzilla standing on Kong's chest, not letting Kong up.
But
great bathroom break time. Eventually, and then he walks off. It's like, talk about the worst. Whoever, they needed to bring the guy who did John Wick into this to choreograph the fight. That was like one of the worst choreographed fights ever, like ever. And my biggest problem with it was, and I get it, I'm getting old and I'm more interested in story than I'm action scenes. I can enjoy action scenes. We talked about Six Underground last week, and I loved that whole first 20-minute car chase. But it's because what's going on with the characters made it interesting. And even Michael Bay, as much as I rip on him, the action scenes, typically, the humans have some agency. There's some stuff going on, and there's a lot of problems with a lot of his action scenes too, especially Transformers. But I can stay engaged with them because there's things to engage in other than just explosions and pretty special effects. I don't want an art piece. I want a story. I want to be told a story. That's why I watch fiction. This, once they got to the Hollow Earth thing, I'm like, oh no, please just let this guy have a conspiracy theory thing like the flat Earth, whatever, right? And then no, we get the Hollow Earth thing, and it just got stupider and stupider from there. And yeah, I'm going to use that word because I can't think of anything else that conveys my point as clearly as that. It got stupider and stupider. Then they get down to the Hollow Earth thing, and then that whole thing happens. And then he puts this axe with like a gem in it into this little socket on the ground, which magically unlocks a thing. That was stupid. Then all of a sudden, up top, Godzilla somehow senses it. So what's he do? He does this laser beam thing down through the Earth, through Tokyo, all the way down to the Hollow Earth. Makes no sense. And then, where does all that mass go? Like all that rock? Because that's a lot of rock. Like it has to physically go somewhere, right? It didn't go into the Hollow Earth, and it didn't come back up. No, there's just this great big, huge, conveniently vehicle-sized and King Kong and Godzilla-sized hole from Tokyo, like in the matter of what, a second and a half, from Tokyo all the way down to the center of the Earth. Which, by the way, if Godzilla is that strong, Kong's dead.
Am I even
like, there's
here
no,
on
there's
this
no
show?
fight. There's no movie. Kong's dead. In fact,
Robin,
the moon
you are
probably,
Robin.
like if the guy misses and he shoots up in the air, the moon's probably gone too. I mean, come on. And I haven't even got to the Mecha Godzilla thing yet. Because holy crap, like this movie.
Hey, Eric.
Like I said in
Tell us how
Random
you
Chatter,
really feel.
I have so much respect for the writer of this film. Like, I am so impressed because I'm telling you, that sixth grader has such a career ahead of them. When they grow up and they can start like making money writing, they're going to do great because I mean, this kid's in like what, 5th or 6th grade and he already got like a major motion picture done. That's impressive, right? I can't fault a kid for the fact that the movie sucked. He's a kid, right? I mean, I don't know who wrote it, but I mean, he's got to be in like middle school. I think. I don't have IMDb up, but
Terry Russo, Rossio, Rossio.
okay.
Michael
I'm sure he's a
Dougherty.
good kid. And I mean, he's obviously very creative, doesn't understand physics. He needs to spend a little bit more attention in, well, I mean, it's too late now because I mean, 3rd grade science class, I don't know, he apparently
Eric,
slept through. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
If you set all physics aside and you
All
desperately
physics.
try to suspend
All of them. Mm-hmm.
just well,
Yep.
a couple. And you suspend
Literally, even
disbelief.
gravity.
Really, for me, the gem here was the
In the
humanizing
stick with the
or massive attempt at humanizing two incredibly mythic and massive creatures that I mean, Kong has always been, you know, humanized. Some might say anthropomorphized, but because he is like, we're closer to him as a species than obviously Godzilla. Godzilla is just portrayed as this, you know, Frankensteinian thing that's just going to crush anything because he really hates humans. But for me, the interesting piece was the humanity that Kong brought out of Godzilla.
Yep.
Even in their Romeo and Juliet-esque type of, love-hate relationship. They came from the same place. They only want to be left alone by these meddling humans, and yet humans must meddle.
They ignore the humans.
Robin put a lot of thought into this.
Kong doesn't, but then of the 3 movies Kong appears in, they do a great job of humanizing him in the first 2, especially the first one.
I like
Okay, so that's great. But the rivalry between the 2 monsters is between the 2 monsters and the human. Like, Godzilla ignores the humans.
Well, the rivalry between the 2 monsters, though, in fact, was caused. All right, ancestrally, they're the Hatfields and the McCoys. We get it, but the humans keep meddling, right? And they keep, like sticking burrs under Godzilla's saddles, and humans need Kong to come and, save the day. I am totally Team Kong. I've never liked Godzilla's, never liked them as a kid watching the old movies where the voices never synced up to, whatever else was going on. So I've always been a Kong girl. What I didn't like, however, is Kong's only ability was to connect with the little girl, and I don't have her name up here.
Doesn't matter. The little girl.
Gia, I think her name was.
Okay.
Because I really felt like he needed to really have a stronger connection to the scientist as well. And so I just feel like that there was a break there that I didn't understand in terms of his soul connection being to.
So that might have been something you could have gotten from the other movies too. Kong's distrust. I think it's because the little girl is a little girl that he connects with her a little better than he does the scientists.
Yeah,
like compared to in the first 2 movies, he's connected with these scientists. Like they're still breathing next to him. They're sharing the same space with him. That's a big improvement for him. And also the rivalry between the 2, more so the rivalry between the Titans and the humans, is kind of the focal point of the second Godzilla movie. So I think that is one of the reasons why that movie is critical to seeing this one.
Well, so let me throw something else in there too. There was never any real connection between Kong and Godzilla before this movie. I mean, they were both Titans. They both had a history. There was stuff going on, but you never had this sense that they were rivals. And you also never had a sense that Kong was even close to Godzilla as far as what he could do physically. I mean, he was definitely a badass in Skull Island, and, just the way he took things out and battled the other Titans and so forth. But, you look at the battles that Godzilla had in King of the Monsters, it's like, there's no way Kong's going to be close to this. He's going to be, the water boy. Here you go. Would you like a towel to wipe off with?
Trying to retcon your way into making them comparable. There was a single throwaway line in the movie talking about how his time on Skull Island has made Kong grow bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
What? Like, what? That's it? That's how you're getting to this? And then if you look at the size, Kong could literally fit about 85% of Godzilla's head inside his mouth. Okay? Kong, so when Godzilla and Kong were in the water, Godzilla should have killed him. Shouldn't have been a contest. Once they're out of the water, Kong should have mopped the floor with Godzilla. Shouldn't have been a contest. Except that whole, I can shoot my laser breath down to the core of the earth thing, in which case the movie should have ended the first time they saw each other. Mm-hmm. Because, come on, and again, depending on how he aimed in collateral damage stuff, we might not have a moon anymore either. Like, that's how overpowered that thing was. Then the whole Mechagodzilla thing, it didn't even seem like an interesting or very powerful villain. So you've got these two, and they're up against Mechagodzilla. Like, they should hardly notice he's there. There's no way that is more powerful than these two combined. It just, the power balance, and I get it's all fiction, and I get physics out the window. That's great, but you still have to be consistent within your own universe. And in the universe they created, the power levels are all over the place.
Right.
So
it was just sloppy.
I understand the sloppiness. The villains I don't think were villainous enough.
Yeah. There's that too.
I don't think they needed to introduce Mecha, whatever. The mechanical Godzilla.
Mecha
Godzilla.
Mega. Because, well, the only reason they needed to introduce that was to have a reason for Kong and Godzilla to join forces.
Exactly.
And
it's the classic comic book trope.
Yeah. And so that to me felt very clunky, pun intended, by the way. But I mean, I think they could have done something different there. I wanted, like, there was a piece of me that wanted to know more about the backstory about why these two were rivals. And Tom in the chat room just acknowledged that, you know, he's Team Godzilla, and I'd love to hear why. But I wanted to know more about the backstory, about the ancient rivalry between these two titans in particular. And
so all of that up until those last few words is in the previous Godzilla movie. All of it except Kong. Kong is not there, but there's like, I don't know, 10 or 15 other monsters that are all mentioned. And my opinion, because, you know, my son was asking me before this came out, and my prediction was spot on, but it's not like that's that impressive because, again, it's an old comic book trope. You know, who's going to win in a boxing match, Superman or the Hulk? Neither. Because neither studio is going to agree to the licensing for using both of their characters if their character's going to lose. So they have to come out to some mutual resolution by the end. It just doesn't happen. So my son is like, who do you think's going to win? Because my son is big time Team Kong.
Yay!
And I said, well, here's what's going to happen. They're going to fight each other, and then by the end of the movie, there's going to be some other threat that they're going to have to join up, defeat, and then they're probably still not going to like each other at the end, but they're going to walk away.
Yeah.
And he said, well, why? And that's not what the whole point of this is, to have them, you know, see who's the struggle. I said, because you're immediately going to anger 50% of your fan base.
Yeah.
Like, that's just
and
not
you're
something.
Throwing away money because you got to make another Kong movie, another Godzilla movie.
Yeah. Fatmatic's Team Godzilla too. I don't get what's wrong with our chat room tonight. Is there a technical issue or what's? I always felt Godzilla was the cooler monster even when I was a kid.
There's going on there where they're typing Kong, but it's coming up Godzilla.
That's probably it's probably an autocorrect issue, or maybe they're doing Siri and Siri's not translating it.
So
that would explain it.
I'll say this, and I'll agree with Tom in the chat room that Godzilla is the cooler creature. I mean, hands down, he's the better monster. But I didn't really have
monster
any.
Is
better
in
monster,
terms of
yes.
Destroy everything indiscriminately because you don't freaking care.
He's protecting the Earth
by wiping out some of the biggest cities in the world.
Well,
Good
it's
job.
no different than
I could do that.
What we had in Pacific Rim. You know, they laid waste to some cities, stopping the kaiju there too.
Yeah, but the difference was the people who were devastated by that were actually not all that happy about it.
So
here it's like, oh, that's okay. My whole city's crushed and everybody I know dead, but Godzilla's cool, isn't he?
I have one story, and then I do want to talk about the director.
I'm not making fun of the people in the chat room, by the way. I love you guys.
No, we're not. We love you all. But I want to say that during this whole movie, my partner, the person I love most on the planet, sitting next to me, kept saying, "Where are the Jaegers?"
We were making fun of him for that for so long. I was sitting there watching the movie saying, "Where are the Jaegers?" It just this. It's hard for me to critique this in a way that I feel like I'm getting my point across, because I know that it's supposed to be a silly, cataclysmic monster wrestling match, and there's no way you can set a high bar for that. But I think what needed to happen was in King of the Monsters. That's where Kong needed to appear, and Godzilla and Kong, after dealing with the other various monsters, needed to go up against whatever that three-headed thing was. That needed to be kind of like the Thanos of the things.
Yeah, because that was an alien. That was an off-world creature. Yep. Yeah.
So have the two Titans team up to do, not like that they want to team up, but have them throw down against each other, and then that thing shows up, and then you battle that. But it's now you're introducing Kong in the context of the other Titans, and they're kind of ramping up as, they're battling the different things that are messing with the earth and whatever. And then you get that, like, that would have made sense. In this movie, like you said, Robin, the villains, there were no villains. You've got Kong, who's kind of a hero. You have Godzilla, who, within this story, not really a hero, but not an enemy either, just kind of a neutral animal trying to survive on the earth. And then, but they're not bad guys. And then the bad guy at the end, basically, the robot thing takes over him anyway. And so now you've just got this robot out of nowhere with no motivation or anything other than, I guess, just to kill things. And then it's dumb.
No. The robot thing was the three-headed thing.
No.
The robot.
In the big bad guy of the previous movie was this like three-headed dragon thing.
Yeah, the three-headed dragon thing was what Mechagodzilla.
You're saying the brain of that inhabited this thing?
Yes, that was the point of the humans going into the laboratory. The remains of the three-headed thing were in that laboratory.
This movie did such a bad job of making any points about anything. I did you get that, Lou? I believe you, but I didn't get it.
I did not. I did not get that either.
I will actually watch the film over again, but they made reference.
I believe you because you didn't see the previous film. So for you to have walked away with that, you must have caught something we didn't.
Seen it,
and I saw that part twice. So, wow, was this movie even worse than I thought?
The only reason I knew about the three-headed thing was because they made a point of saying, "Oh my God, this is the blah blah blah."
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yep. And they called it something. I can't remember what they called it.
I keep wanting to call it the joke name that one of the scientists gave it of gonorrhea, but I know it's not gonorrhea; it's something else.
So the DNA became
the Mechagodzilla. Yeah. So the problem I have with this movie, more so than the other ones, is, and I guess Godzilla King of the Monsters suffered from the same problem. They were overthinking it. They were trying to make a story out of this, trying to make it cool in some hi-fi tech stuff, and we can make a whole franchise out of this, and talk about this whole thing with what was the name of the organization?
Monarch.
Monarch. And we had the whole thing that was with Mothra in the last one, which is kind of like, Jesus, really? And then you had the only one that was cool in the last movie was Rodan, which is a cool concept for the creature. But there was just this complicated backstory that they were trying to weave in here that never really seemed to work for me. And then on top of it all, let's throw in the Hollow Earth thing, because that makes some sense.
Oh my gosh, like that is.
I'm like,
that made no sense at all.
What is this, and why are we in this whole Middle Earth thing with it's got like it's like its own its own universe.
I
It's
have
got
not seen a
sky
movie
and I'm like, what the-
jump the shark so hard
Yeah.
since
The Hollow Earth
probably
That's a good way to put it.
nuking the fridge from Indiana Jones 4. Don't spit up the water you're drinking, Lou. I wish I timed that purposely that way, but
Oh,
that would have
God,
been
yeah.
hilarious. No, but that is like, this is the worst jumping the shark since that moment in film. Like the whole Hollow Earth thing.
But where is home for these? They had to make a home for both.
I don't care.
They had to make a home for the Titans.
You're right. I don't care. Like it just.
Yeah, but they
I don't
didn't, because
care.
in the previous movies they said, look, these were what ruled the Earth years ago,
Yeah.
and it was their world,
They kind of
not
explained
ours.
it.
And I'm thinking to myself, they're on the surface of the Earth. They didn't
Yeah.
come from the
The middle of the Earth.
The whole last movie was all about the mythology for this.
Yeah.
We never thought like, oh, we need more explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, but
that's the
But
thing.
it kind of made sense to me that they had to come from somewhere, and where they came from had to have significant amount of problems to force the Titans apart. And his name is King Kong for a reason. And so if you're toppling the king, if you're a little rival faction toppling the king's got to go somewhere, can't stick around. So there was a coup, essentially. But I didn't like the fact that it was way too easy to get there. And then it was way too easy to split. Like Godzilla's like, yeah, you guys spent years and years and years and trillions and trillions of dollars to get there. And I can just my bad breath and get there.
That whole thing
all by
too.
myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Kong didn't actually.
It is home for Kong.
I kind of got the impression it was like home for his species and stuff because he didn't remember being there or anything, right?
No, he did. He knew where the axe was. He knew what it did.
The axe was right in front of him on the ground. I knew where the axe was.
No,
Yeah,
I
but you
get
didn't know
that.
where to
I
put
got
it.
it that he picked it up and kind of looked at it and didn't know what was going on. He set it
Yeah.
down. He seemed surprised when he put it down and the whole thing lit up. I didn't. Yeah.
See, I am so Team Kong that I might have dreamed into this, but I felt
I'm
like
definitely
he was
Team
acting
Kong too, but I
way more intelligent.
I
I
just
did feel like
no,
that was
I
home
think,
for
and
him.
I'm down with the whole like the sign language stuff and all of that. I feel like that was new to him. It kind of broke all of the mythology that they spent way too much time and effort explaining in the previous film. I mean, it was almost like episode 8 when people accuse it of walking in the door and saying, okay, episode 7 never happened. We're going to go in this direction now. I mean,
Right.
this did that more than episode 8 did to episode 7. I mean, this just whole new
That
thing.
Star Wars reference.
And I mean, all you had to do was apparently walk into an icy cave on the planet Hoth, and then all of us, or Antarctica, same thing. And then you fall down really hard, and you're in this hollow earth. Like it was just sitting around there all this time, and like just stupider and stupider. That's all I got to say. It just went from one stupid thing. Nope, we're gonna top that. Nope, we're gonna go even further. You thought that was stupid. Here, hold my beer. Watch this. And it just kept going.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. No,
Generally, I like to talk to you guys about directors that I know well
Uh-huh.
or that I've encountered before.
I have a whole new respect for
So-
Michael Bay now, by the way. Go on.
No. Everybody out there, Michael Bay did not direct
No, he didn't.
But
which is kind of my point.
The creds of the guy who did direct this,
Uh-huh.
I was very surprised that he directed Blair Witch.
No.
Very surprised.
No,
by
I
that.
like Blair Witch.
Okay, sweeties, look it up. 2016. Blair Witch.
Wait, 2016 or the original?
2016.
Oh, never mind. That explains it. Okay.
there was a 2016
Yeah.
Blair Witch.
Yeah. Now it
where
makes
was
more
I?
sense. Now it makes more sense. Not the original Blair Witch. Okay.
Not the Blair Witch Project.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, no, I can totally see that now.
Blair
Makes
Witch.
sense.
So but I feel like I've seen nothing else.
And I never will
Like,
again.
this guy is like the director that just walks around directing stuff and like leaves it on the side of the road.
He has some writing credits too, which says a lot.
Did he write this though?
No.
He did a story by him. Godzilla versus Kong, story by. Godzilla King of the Monsters, screenplay by and story by. He wrote a story by X-Men for X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Lou, you're killing me.
He did Krampus.
Didn't see that, but with good reason.
He did.
Are we looking at the same guy?
This is Michael Dougherty, right?
I'm talking about the director.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on King of the Monsters. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Adam Wingard.
I'm sorry.
Is the director for this.
I was doing director of King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
It is important that we keep
Michael
track
Dougherty
of who we are to never watch again. So we need to pay attention to
Michael
this.
Dougherty.
I mean, that guy too.
Did
So yeah.
Right. This movie that we saw.
Adam Wingard. Okay, so
yeah, Adam Wingard. He is like a guy searching for
his brain. A plot.
Director's code. Like he's up in his parents' attic. He's trying on all this stuff. You know, he's sending it down the attic stairs to some company that's gonna produce it. He just doesn't feel like he has an identity.
So I don't understand how this guy. I mean, maybe the studio doesn't have a lot of faith in this movie, but you know, how did he get this gig with not a lot of, you know, credit to his name? Really, I mean,
I don't know either.
This is a big budget movie.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the budget for this?
He has 20 director credits.
Oh,
and the only one I even can begin to recognize is Blair Witch.
But we'll see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them are shorts.
Yep.
3 of them are segments of something. So I don't know what those are. One's a TV series episode. You know, so how many movies did he do? I don't know.
2.
He's got, you know, Horrible Way to Die, Autoerotic. What fun we're having. You're Next. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know any of these things.
I'll say this though. Listen, I think that there were a lot of parts where like the shots were staged fine and the actors did well. The fight scenes with the monsters weren't interesting, and the story, to include how the fight scenes were written, was stupid. I've got more of an issue with the writer than I do the director. I don't think the director destroyed this movie. I think he shouldn't have gone anywhere near it for his own sake.
The writer.
The writer is, to me, like, there was no moment where, like, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I could have directed this. But at every moment, I'm thinking I could have written something better than this, drunk, in a coma.
Yeah, so the first writer credit goes to Terry Rossio, but Michael Dougherty, who did the directing and writing for King of the Monsters, is the second credit on this for writers.
But the screenplays were Eric Pearson and Max Bornstein. Don't even know.
Yeah, don't know either.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't get it.
But it's like this. It's like you're gonna make this mammoth of a movie, and you're gonna hire a guy. You're gonna hire the guy that just came out of film school.
So Eric Pearson is known for his work on Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
And Black Widow.
Oh.
Okay.
And he also was a writer on Agent Carter.
But keep in mind, screenplay too.
Is
the dialogue was okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
So again, and this is where it gets hard with movies, because you end up with so many different writers who do so many different parts. You've got, you know, the concept. You've got, if it's an adaptation of something, you've got the screenplay, which is mainly like writing out the script. Then you've got a script doctor who'll come and polish up the dialogue a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to tell who to blame or who to praise for something that's really bad or really good.
Well, I think we blame the people that did the story. I mean, the original concept is the story, right? So that's Terry Rossio, Michael Dougherty,
Listen,
and Zach Shields.
at this point, I'm ready to blame my internet provider and the manufacturer of my television because they both contributed to me having to watch this. Like the person who built my house made it so that I have a roof over my head while I watch this too. And I kind of think maybe I should bring him into the lawsuit. Like,
And so I guess then you do want to blame the director because the director's shoulders are where things land.
Why not the
he's
producer?
the leader. He's the conductor. He's the guy who's supposed to, or gal, who's supposed to make it all happen. And in this case, he didn't. I don't know. I would have to go back and watch other things that he's done to see if he's capable of.
I'll say this. There were some good things. I think the shots with the humans were good. I think the acting was good. I think, again, they were probably trying to do too many different things with the humans, with the story. And back to your point earlier, Lou, it was kind of, they were trying too hard. And there were a lot of things that just didn't fit together. It was like they were trying to cover too many bases at once and they didn't hit any of them. But I thought that, again, the scenes with the humans were directed well, acted well. The dialogue was good. And I thought the effects, for the most part, were good. I started falling asleep through the battle scenes, and then just the story. Like the first time I watched it, like I've never had a movie. I've had movies where I was bored, but like for me to actually forget, literally, I forgot I was watching a movie. I'm 47 years old, and never in my life has that ever happened. And then when I went back to watch it a second time, it wasn't that I was apathetic or bored with it. I was angry, which also doesn't happen to me.
Wow.
And listen, I'm not trying to be a downer or anything. Like, I know I didn't rate this favorably. I didn't rate Coming to America favorably. I didn't rate Tom and Jerry favorably. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm just always like bad on movies, but like, come on.
Oh, does that mean we're not going to cover Tom and Jerry then for our next movie?
Whoa, no, no. I got 5 minutes in and knew that wasn't for me.
In the same way that I enjoy singing Happy Birthday to Lou, I would enjoy reviewing Tom and Jerry. The listeners might not like it, but...
So, I mean, so back to this movie, to get away from Tom and Jerry. I will say that as a monster movie that has some good action and just, mindless destruction, sure, it's a good movie, but I think they tried to do more with it than they should have, and it got out of control, and then they ended up with what we have. So, I mean, the fighting, the destruction, yeah, all good stuff. But the other part of the story, to make it a story, wasn't compelling enough to make me really want to know more, because it was just silly.
I agree with what he said, but with a lot more vitriol and swearing. And probably like arms flailing around too. I don't want to hit my mic stand here, but
trying to keep it PG.
Yeah.
Well, I think if Kong's offspring marries Godzilla's offspring, then I'll be disappointed by that movie. So,
and also I hope they don't film any of that, because.
So I guess the question I have for you two is, do we want more monster movies? Do we want them to continue in this universe?
No.
This universe?
Like, I liked the first Kong movie was good. The second Kong movie I thought was lame, but it was okay. I don't know where else to take Kong.
Right.
And I don't know that there are more stories to tell there, because there's only so much you can do. So I think maybe Kong is done for now. Don't want to see Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, Mothra. I mean, I'd rather watch Gamera come back in like a non-cheesy, modernized sort of way. Like I'd rather see Pacific Rim go somewhere.
well, because they have Pacific Rim has the alien influence. This isn't supposed to. So even though it did sort of, so I don't think there's any place else to go with Kong, or Godzilla,
I
because
agree.
I'm never been a Godzilla fan. I but I don't like the categorization of this as a monster movie, because there are monster movies out there, as you both know, that I adore, that were the OG monsters that are very different from these.
It
Now,
is
are you
a
talking monsters like
Frankenstein
the
and
Casey,
The Mummy, the Vampire,
I'll
Invisible
separate
Man.
these.
well, okay, good.
Those are monster movies of a terrestrial type thing.
right.
The Godzilla or kaiju movies are a
Kaiju.
different kind of monster movie. You know, I mean,
Okay.
It's
and
under
that's
the
what it's actually
larger
about. I mean,
umbrella of monster movies, but it's
Right.
a solid, unique subcategory.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you guys love unique subcategories.
And we call them subgenres, Robin.
Yes, you like to call them subgenres, like the time travel rom-coms.
Well, that would be
Yeah.
a subgenre. We never call them subgenres until you came along when we discovered that it annoys you, and now, like, I have a big placard
now there's
over
the-
on the wall that says subgenre.
Annoy Robin
Yeah.
subgenre. Neo noir. The neo noir time travel rom-com.
Animated.
That's what we have to cover next.
Right. We do need to talk about what to cover next. And honestly, I don't have any really good ideas. I was thinking earlier in the recording here, like, what have I seen this year that's new this year that's actually been good? Because Coming to America, Tom and Jerry, the Zack Snyder's Justice League was good. But Robin, you're holding your hand up. You either need to go to the bathroom, in which case you have our permission, you can go, or
I'm a college professor / dean.
yeah.
How many bridges, Tim? 21?
27.
21? 20, 21.
21?
Tim says yes.
Okay.
21
I
bridges.
know they did change it at some point in pre-production.
They did. They did. And so I always have to check with Tim for the number, because he's good with numbers and humanities. Right here. Humanities.
Do you think that there's a discussion to be had about the movie?
I like the movie.
Okay.
And just
fair.
It was a suggestion. Let's just any other suggestions?
I'm in the middle of watching Chaos Walking right now, which is a new release.
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer for
Yeah,
that.
haven't finished it though. I'm about halfway through. Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. It's based on a book series, a book trilogy. Didn't get great reviews. It's okay so far, but I'm only about halfway through. So depending on how it wraps up, I don't know. I saw a trailer for something that looks really good coming up soon too, but it's not out yet.
So here's the thing.
We may need to think about it and come back.
Dystopian movies are all seem to be the thing that we all want to see. I don't know, but I wouldn't. I just looked it up. I wouldn't mind giving it a try.
Which one?
Chaos Walking.
I think so. If nothing else, I think there are some themes in the film that could be interesting to discuss. Like, even if the movie bombs, you could talk about, okay, so for example, Star Wars Episode 8, a lot of people didn't like it. Some really good parts about it, some really bad parts about it. But if you look at the themes of trying too hard, of failure, of learning from your failures, of regret and things like that, there are some strong things there to talk about. So even if this movie isn't that good, there are a couple of themes that we could still maybe discuss. And I got to tell you, when it comes to dystopian stuff, you don't want to get Lou and I started, because Like we literally started a podcast at one point on dystopian post-apocalyptic films. So like that's our jam right there. Warning you now, don't go too far down that rabbit hole, Robin, or you'll never come back out again.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. We could I mean, there's not a lot coming out soon. We could kind of pick our favorite dystopian post-apocalyptic movies and discuss a couple of those over the next few episodes if you want.
So basically I just Googled new movies of 2021 and I got to tell you, the first one on here is The Dig, rated quite high. I saw it.
Which one is The Dig?
That is Ralph Fiennes, Lily James, the future, right, Mrs. Eric Blythe?
My future ex-wife.
Your future ex-wife.
She'll divorce me before we're even married. That's how. Yeah. Okay.
There's some stuff I care a lot. Nomadland, The Father, Tom and Jerry, Coming to America. Like I feel like there's Raya and the Last Dragon.
Okay, we could discuss that if you want. I thought it was really good. I don't know.
I haven't watched it yet.
I thought Nomadland was supposed to have some good critical.
And which one was that? And The Dig.
Nomadland.
I don't know anything about either.
It won. For I think director.
I know. I know which one that is. I thought you said No Man's Land. Nomadland.
Nomad.
Yeah. No, that's supposed to be really good. I mean, it's not really my type of movie. But
it's not my.
Yeah,
type
me neither. But I mean, it's supposed to be good.
You think our listeners are going to care about it?
So, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Nobody, Godzilla versus Kong. I just feel like we've done a bunch.
I heard
of these.
Nobody was pretty decent. That was one of the guys who made John Wick was involved in that.
Directed by Derek Kolstad, starring Bob Odenkirk, Connie Nielsen, Christopher Lloyd.
I mean, it's very much a John Wick type of film. It's just like an adrenaline junkie's
I don't
dream.
think I ever saw anything like this.
But
we can do that.
we can.
Nobody.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do Nobody? And then we'll cover it for the next episode. In between now and then, we will go through and take a look at other movies that, like, we'll actually sit down and do some homework and figure out like the next 4 or 5 movies that we want to cover. Because we're kind of in a dry spot right now.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I got to tell you.
Where can everybody see Nobody?
All right, I'm looking
if our
it
listeners
up.
want to see that.
If our listeners want to see Nobody,
I think iTunes and Amazon Prime Video, like purchasing. I think it's
okay.
Oh, it got me Rotten Tomatoes. Shoot.
Yeah.
Will it tell you? Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't know, but if you just
Google usually tells you
if
somewhere.
you look at Wikipedia or something.
You know, it could also be a time when we look at a particular actor.
We should probably have this discussion off the air though, because we're starting to drag the episode on that.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up this episode of Movie Chatter. We are going to figure out what we're going to cover, and we're going to come back. There's a possibility it'll be The Dig. There's a possibility it'll be Nobody. There's a possibility it will just be a topic. Like, why do we like dystopian films? Who knows? It'll be a surprise. So stay tuned. Come back next week and we will have more Movie Chatter here for you. In the meantime, go to randomchatter.com. Check out all of our podcasts there and learn how to support the network. And also go to randomchatter.com/YouTube. Hit that subscribe and like button and click the little button to get notified of when we are on the air live or when we have new episodes posted. That way you don't miss a thing. And you can watch us on YouTube, see our smiling faces, see Lou almost spit up his water as I'm making bad jokes. I'm going to get him one of these days. All right. Maybe. I'm going to try. That's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, take care, everybody.